The Prime Minister suggested there would be more, and they didn't give any more budget to any of the MPs. They announced $9 billion, Mr. Speaker, for students to stay home. Here's a proposal.
Don't get your hands caught in the cookie jar. Because he definitely got his hands caught in the cookie jar for sending out emails. Sent one to an MP, a Liberal MP, in the National Post. So he sent one out. They said it was an apology. Earlier this week, a senator, call his name, also had to apologize for using his email. So we have a trend here. They're calling for an investigation. Will it stick? Who knows? But here we have how bad after this.
But there are many others less animated by the driving urge of action who are content to drift in the lap of beauty. To these appreciative souls, Ottawa has 1,000 diversions, including 27 parks and 35 miles of scenic driveway. Here the visitor is impressed by the peaceful atmosphere and the rare charm of this unusual city that has survived the inroads of a commercial and a hurried age.
All right, the blast from the past. But here we have how wrong Trudeau was. This is from before, and on every point, it's amazing how wrong he is on every point.
In their provincial territories. Mr. Speaker, I'd like to know through you whether the Prime Minister will heed the concerns of the Premiers and accept the amendments from the Senate.
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, we believe in an independent Senate that makes its decisions based on the best interests of their communities, and that's why we welcome the fact that the amendments made by the senators are something that we will take a look at. We will make a decision on which ones improve the bill and make it better, and that's what we will be doing. That's what we believe in. But, Mr. Speaker, the fact that Conservative premiers have been threatening national unity if they don't get their way is completely irresponsible and needs to be condemned by anyone who aspires to be Prime Minister of this great country.
That's right.
Order. Order. The Honourable Member for Milton.
Well, Mr. Speaker, with respect to relationships with premiers, regardless of political stripe, let's take a look at what the former Liberal Premier of British Columbia has said about this Prime Minister. Quote, when you're walking around thinking you're not first among equals, but that you're the only one who has no equal, which I think is the Prime Minister's modus operandi, when it comes to premiers, you've got a problem. Mr. Speaker, I'd like to know from the Prime Minister, will he take the concerns of the premiers seriously regarding uncertainty in investment in their provinces and accept the full amendments from the Senate?
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, since the beginning of our time in office as a government, we have engaged with the premiers in a constructive, collaborative way. Because for 10 years, Stephen Harper refused to even meet with the premiers in First Minister's meeting. The fact of the matter is, Mr. Speaker, we believe in constructive relationships. Unfortunately, we don't consider it to be a constructive relationship when the premiers threaten national unity issues if they don't get their way. We're going to make decisions on what's in the best interest of Canada, and we will take a look at what the senator said.
Order. I'm having trouble hearing the answer. I had no trouble hearing the question. Members, whether they like the answer or what is said here or not, should respect the right of members to have their say and not interrupt. The Honourable Member for Milton.
Mr. Speaker, these premiers represent 59% of the Canadian population and 63% of Canada's GDP, and they're warning that these two bills produce insurmountable roadblocks for major infrastructure projects that jeopardize jobs, growth, and investor confidence. And yes, Mr. Speaker, they are pointing to their concerns about whether or not this Prime Minister is bringing on a constitutional crisis in this country. Will the Prime Minister do the right thing, consider the amendments from the Senate, and agree to every single one of them?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, one of the amendments proposed by the Senate is to make Indigenous consultations optional. I don't think Canadians want to go back to Stephen Harper's years of ignoring Indigenous peoples in how we build resource projects. That's a good way to get nothing done, the way Stephen Harper did over 10 years. What we're going to do is take a good look at those amendments and move forward in a way that improves the bills. What we will not do is accept that premiers say there's a threat to national unity if we don't get our way. That is not the way to hold this country